The case of the new tenant began like something ordinary. A quiet man, a small suitcase, eyes lowered. No one knew where he came from or why he chose that suffocating room at the end of the hallway. But within 48 hours, neighbors noticed something wrong. Objects moved, shadows appeared where no light existed. What seemed accidental turned into an investigation. Former residents stated that it began when he asked for the attic key, a place abandoned for decades. He said he needed to store important things. Days later, the smell of burnt herbs spread through the building. People thought it was incense, until circular marks were found on the floor. Rituals, old ones. Alvaro, the janitor, was the first to distrust him. In his testimony, he said he heard the tenant talking alone in a language he didn't recognize. The voice didn't stay the same, sometimes deep, sometimes childlike. It wasn't acting. It sounded like someone was answering, he said, but the room was empty. Only the man, and something you couldn't see. His origin became known weeks later. Municipal records showed he was born in a rural village between the hills of San Ignacio, the same region marked by witchcraft legends. Stories of a woman able to erase a person's shadow. Shadow in that place meant soul. Whoever lost their shadow disappeared from existence. Residents claimed he grew up in silence after something terrible happened. His mother died without wounds, illness, or struggle. She simply fell and stopped breathing. The medical certificate said sudden body collapse. The town said something else. Her shadow was taken. At 14, he vanished. No school records, no work history, nothing in church archives. It's believed he was taken in by practitioners of ancient magic in the mountains. People who don't speak, don't show their faces, and don't bury their dead. When he returned to society as an adult, he brought a dark wooden chest chained shut. No one saw it open. Witnesses said he spent hours in front of it at night, whispering words that didn't belong to any known language. Those who passed by felt dizzy, as if walking near an invisible current. Strange things escalated in the building. Laundry left drying overnight returned wet again. Children woke up screaming about a man standing on the ceiling. Neighbors swore they saw him motionless in front of doors, as if he could feel who was awake, even through the walls. To Padrón, the investigation took shape when the property manager found symbols engraved beneath the corridor flooring. Spirals, serpents, and human figures with extended arms. In the center, written in Old Spanish, La sombra vuelve a su dueño, el cuerpo paga el resto. The message was clear, a warning. Witnesses confirmed the first death coincided with his arrival. A resident collapsed without reason. No illness, no struggle. Her eyes remained open, as if she had seen someone or something. Everyone panicked, everyone but him. He watched the ambulance leave as if expecting it. The autopsy deepened the fear. No toxins, trauma, or diseases. The report mentioned something impossible. Absence of shadow reflex under direct light. A phrase not seen in any case file before. The police ignored it. But those who remembered San Ignacio felt a hollow, familiar terror. Another incident rattled the building. A child claimed the tenant was on the ceiling. The parents swore he never left his room. Yet the boy described arms like black threads stretching across the walls. The family tried to move immediately. No landlord accepted their application. When asked about his past, the tenant simply said, "I came back to return what was taken." Weeks earlier, an envelope with no sender was found in the courtyard. Inside were old newspaper clippings about missing people in San Ignacio, all marked with the same symbol, a circle enclosing a triangle. The janitor found the same symbol carved on the attic door. The cut was too deep, like the wood had burned from the inside. When he touched it, the surface was warm, hours after the supposed event. He sought someone who knew old legends. They said something no one wanted to hear. He doesn't carry the darkness, he hosts it. Residents reported footsteps at 3 a.m. every night. Lights flickered in the hallway, and cold air seeped under the doors. People stacked furniture against their entrances. Even then, they felt something crawl through the floorboards, searching, not human, not animal, something else. A retired police officer decided to investigate. He forced his way into the attic. Inside were candles, animal bones, and jars filled with dark soil. Worse than that, one wall displayed shadows that moved on their own, without a light source, like silhouettes of people who weren't there. Days later, the officer collapsed. Fever, tremors, delirium. Doctors found no infection or neurological cause. His body is exhausted beyond its years, they said. He muttered one phrase non-stop: "He's not alone." His eyes never focused again on anything living. Then a pattern emerged. Every victim had tried to uncover what the chest contained. The chained box didn't store objects. It stored bonds, shadows stripped from their owners, souls. The chest wasn't a container. It was a prison, or an anchor. An elderly neighbor finally confessed she recognized what it was. She spoke of witches who didn't work with spirits, but with stolen shadows. A shadow was a life, a payment, a piece of someone taken away. The tenant wasn't a sorcerer. He was the delivery man of a curse older than him. That night, silence swallowed the building. No barking dogs, no footsteps. A scratching sound moved along the walls like fingernails. The tenant appeared in the hallway, eyes open, chest at his feet. "Truth demands a price," he whispered. And something inside the box began to breathe. After that night, several residents considered calling the police, but anyone who tried discovered something disturbing. The tenant's name didn't exist in any registry. Not on the lease, not on entrance records. It was as if someone had been erased so he could take their place. A vacancy exchanged for a life that no longer had one. A resident revealed the room had belonged to someone else before him, someone who disappeared. The woman in 302 remembered seeing the previous tenant climb into the attic and never return. Back then, people assumed debt or escape. Now they suspected something else. His shadow had been collected, feeding whatever slept behind those chains. The janitor finally confronted him. He asked what was inside the chest. The tenant didn't threaten, shout, or argue. He simply said, "What's in there isn't mine. I only return what was taken." The janitor felt sick, forced backwards by something he couldn't see. Lights flickered. Residents swear the ground throbbed like a pulse. An audio file was found on the retired officer's phone, his last attempt to investigate. Heavy interference corrupted the recording. Behind static, a ragged breath echoed, but not human. Between distortions, one phrase was clear: "Do not open it. Don't let it loose." The phone was found in the attic. He wasn't. Those who searched found only a blanket and an open suitcase. Inside were small shoes and a piece of wood marked with bite marks. No blood, no signs of struggle, just emptiness, a space that felt like it inhaled. Police closed the case as abandonment. The building's residents whispered a different conclusion. The house had eaten someone. Reports of shadows increased. They didn't move like people. They dragged like memories. Witnesses said they grew denser when someone mentioned the chest, as if recognition fed them. A woman tried to pray nearby and fainted before finishing the first line. When she woke, she couldn't recall her own name for minutes. Investigators traced the chest's possible origin back to the 1940s. Rituals meant to restrain shadows stolen from victims. The box wasn't created to summon evil, it was built to cage it. As long as the chest stayed closed, the world stayed unaffected. But once open, the debt resumed. Everything taken seeks its home. Someone asked the tenant if he ever feared what was inside. He didn't pause. "I fear what happens when it has nowhere left to go." He looked around the hallway, eyes empty. "You think I'm hiding something. I'm containing it." And for the first time, residents wondered if he wasn't the threat, but the barrier. The building trembled as if a storm passed underground. Doors slammed. The pipes groaned like something inside them was trying to crawl out. A scent of wet soil and mold overtook the hallway, like freshly opened graves. The tenant placed the chest in the center of the room. "If you want truth, then lose it," he said. The lid creaked. Chains snapped as if cut by invisible hands. Some looked. That was enough. Survivors described silhouettes with weight, like bodies without flesh, fingers without bone, voices without mouths. The chest didn't keep secrets. It stored what remained of those who tried to steal them. From that moment, the building felt alive. Doors breathed, glass shifted, something moved beneath the floorboards, following footsteps like a predator learning patterns. Hands, cold and unseen, pressed against people's backs, steering them toward the center of the hallway, toward the chest, toward acknowledgement. The tenant stood before it, exhausted, not afraid. His expression wasn't anger, it was burden. "It never belonged to me," he whispered. Someone tried to close the chest. They were thrown backward without being touched. Witnesses swear the air folded like heat off pavement, reality bending to keep the box open. Shadows crawled out, not monsters, but souvenirs, echoes of lives, kneeling shapes, reaching silhouettes, souls without anchors. Then a voice, not from him, but from the walls themselves. "You asked for truth. Survive it if you can." The lights died. Something cold passed through every person present. The janitor ran for the exit. The main door locked before he touched it. Silence pressed in like a hand over the mouth. Shadows fastened to the floor, binding themselves like roots. They weren't hunting. They were nesting, finding places to settle, waiting for an owner. It became clear the tenant wasn't hiding a secret. He was delaying a consequence. The chest wasn't his burden. He was its vessel, its escort, its last handler. The curse followed him, not as a servant, but as debt. He wasn't chosen. He was chained to it, and the chain was breaking. One resident recognized a silhouette, a missing tenant. Another recognized a vanished neighbor. The hallway became a gallery of those no one buried. Bodies unclaimed, lives unresolved. The tenant spoke again. "I didn't come here to live. I came to bury what's left." The chest shuddered like something inside struggled to breathe. Chains snapped like thread. The wood pulsed. Shadows rose like steam, searching for light, skin, memory. A man fell to his knees, screaming that something was entering through his eyes. The air smelled like dirt, rot, and forgotten photographs. The tenant acted, pushed the chest toward the attic, dragged it as if pulling a memory uphill. The shadows followed, obedient but hungry. At the top step, he turned. "If this door opens again, nothing remains." The attic swallowed him whole. The door slammed like a coffin lid sealing. At dawn, the attic was empty. No chest, no chains, no residue. Only a blackened circle carved into the floor, a triangle in its center, the mark from the newspaper clippings. Police called it vandalism. Residents called it a grave. Nobody argued. The tenant was never seen again. Some say he still travels, carrying the chest to the next place that doesn't know better. Others believe he wasn't human, just the last person the box trusted. When asked what he was hiding, those who survived answer the same thing. Not something inside the chest, but something trying to get out.